The Supreme Court's draconian decision to overturn Roe v. Wade is politically unpopular, with a majority of Americans opposing it. It's left us in a situation where women have been deemed by the court to have fewer rights than men, and women have more rights in some states than they do in others. The ruling has already created a legal mess, with abortion totally banned in some red states, other bans caught up in court, and some states just waiting for their bans to take effect, a kind of rolling prohibition. Essentially, your reproductive rights depend on if you live in a Democratic state. 22 state attorneys general issued a statement on Monday proclaiming that they will not back down in the fight to protect abortion access. But that's easier said than done, even in some purple states. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer is currently fighting an antiquated law that is so old it barely reads in modern English, banning the intent thereby to procure the miscarriage of any such woman. That one is from 1931, but cannot hold a candle to Wisconsin's 1849 law, which criminalizes destroying the life of an unborn quick child, referring to the quickening, an archaic term used to refer to a fetus becoming alive. And late today, Arizona's Republican Attorney General said that that state's 1864 ban was back in effect and that he would ask the court to vacate the injunction put into place after Roe v. Wade. But Republicans aren't just sticking to those olden day laws. They've also introduced a law in Michigan in case that 1931 law does not hold up in court that would include harsh penalties for providers and would also ban the drug Plan B. The ban in Missouri is so ambiguous that a hospital system temporarily stopped providing Plan B yesterday to their rape victims out of fear that they're somehow violating it. Just a quick lesson for everyone. Plan B is categorically not abortion. If you're pregnant already, Plan B will not work. All it does is delay your body from releasing an egg, making it impossible for fertilization to occur. Late today, the hospital reversed its position after Missouri's Republican governor and attorney general said the law, in fact, does not extend to contraception. And joining me now is Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal of Washington State, chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. Thank you so much for being here. And I apologize for my dog also being here. She decided she wants to be part of the show. That's like... Nala. So let's talk about this. The thing that has struck, I think, a lot of people, quite frankly, Congresswoman, is the absolute aggression of Republicans, the quick aggression in every single red state, where they're going and digging up laws from the 19th century or the early 20th century, putting them in place immediately and going hard, saying you can't leave the state. We'll prosecute you if you fly out of state or drive out of state, that kind of thing. Whereas the Democrats, the response has felt muted, I think, to a lot of people. You've had the White House say, well, it will be dangerous to try to provide abortion services on federal land, which was something that was proposed by some advocates, and I think even Elizabeth Warren. You've had the administration essentially, it's already reported that they're unlikely to go with this list of ideas that Senator Warren and others have given to them that could use the federal power. The Senate tried to codify abortion protections, passing Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley's bill that came out of the House, but it got, filibustered. So are you concerned that the official party response has been too muted?
Well, Joy, the first thing is we just cannot stop talking enough about these radical extremist Republicans and what they're doing across the country, digging in to try to find every way that they can criminalize pregnant people across the country. And that is really, really important because they're doing things that are not, they're going to be challenged in court on some of these things, obviously, but it is really creating fear and trauma for people across the country. Now, in terms of Democrats, I think that the White House, the main leverage that the White House has is with medication abortion. Because of the Hyde Amendment, the hands are tied in terms of using federal lands and some of the other things that we were all trying to come up with in the moment. But because of the Hyde Amendment, hands are tied. And so the way that probably the White House is going to be able to have the biggest impact is around medication abortion. That is making sure that people can obtain pills in their pharmacies. They did pass a rule in December of 2020 overturning a Trump rule that was there before. But the FDA is moving relatively slowly on this, and we need urgency because this is a crisis. And you're going to hear me say this again and again. Yeah. We need telehealth because this is a crisis. And so the White House has said they're going to do these things with Secretary Becerra, and I appreciate that. I think we just need the urgency, and then we also need the bully pulpit of the White House to be used. And so I hope that we see not only Vice President Harris, I hope we see the president coming out and saying that he supports carving out an exception to the filibuster to codify Roe v. Wade if we get 2 more Democrats, pro-choice Democrats, into Congress in the Senate. But all of that, Joy, I'm just going to say, you've heard me talk about eliminating the filibuster, right? And the system is broken. And what's happening in the vacuum of the Senate not acting on everything from voting rights to abortion rights to gay marriage, you name it, gun reform, is the Supreme Court, a radical, extremist, Republican-controlled Supreme Court, is stepping into that vacuum and now using this vacuum as an opportunity to overturn settled precedent. Not just Roe, but as we know, signaled with the majority's opinion and with Clarence Thomas' concurring opinion, Griswold, Lawrence, you can go through and name them all, Obergefell, all of these things. And so that's why it's so important that we take bold executive action, that Congress, that the House pass whatever we can pass, that the 2 senators who said that they were misled by these members of the Supreme Court, that I think it's incumbent on them to actually turn around and vote for an exception to the filibuster to codify this now. Do I think that's going to happen? Maybe not. So that's why the November ballot box then becomes so important.
I'm glad that you explained that, and I wish we had more time, but I think it's very hard to convince people to give Democrats more power when people feel, well, you're not using the power you have. But thank you for explaining. The House is passing all the bills. The Senate is where they're dying. And if you don't get 2 more senators in there to replace those 2 who aren't playing ball, nothing gets through that Senate. So that's how you really get power. You got to add more people. That is, unfortunately, that's what you got to do. Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, thank you very much. Really appreciate you.